Hello, hello. Janeko here, guys. Just wait a few minutes. Probably just wait about 60 seconds, let all the struggles tune in. Now, guys tuning in there, if you can feel me, feel free to say hello in the chat pane. Make sure we've got no tech issues here. Cool. Guess first and foremost, where is everyone tuning in from? There we go, loud and clear. Maybe. Morning from Marcus. Morning to you, mate. Cool. Guess where's everyone tuning in from? Let us know what city you're in. Got a few coming in from Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide as well. We even got some tuning in from New York City in America. So it's Thursday, 6 o'clock in the evening out there at the moment. So appreciate that effort to tune in, guys. There we go. We're in the final days of the year. Someone's pretty excited, but who's counting right? All right, guess I'll just kick it now. Yes, hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Janeko Hardwick, growth specialist here at Red Pandas, and today I'll be a moderator. Now, for some of our newer viewers tuning in, we are a full-service lead generation focused agency and diamond partner of HubSpot. Now, in terms of introductions, we have a few in-house presenters who will be speaking to you this morning, namely Tony, our paid media specialist, Tasha, our head of HubSpot implementations, and also Linda, our senior account manager. So it's safe to say this could be our best webinar thus far for you guys. Now, just a side note, a recorded version of this webinar will be sent out to all those who are registered after the session concludes. Also, during the presentation, feel free to drop in any questions into the chat pane. We'll answer these at the end during our Q&A time. Now, I know there is a diverse group of viewers. Some of you are well across conversion strategies and tactics. Some of you are trialing different things for your business. Now, a lot of you are quite new and are exploring what could work in future for your businesses. Now, regardless of your experience, I can assure you, you'll definitely get a lot out of today's presentation. I now have the pleasure of introducing our first presenter and our fearless leader, our CEO and head strategist, Moby Sadiq. Now, as well as leading our team here at Red Pandas, Moby is also an international speaker on the inbound marketing circuit. Now, without further ado, I'd just like to hand you guys over to Moby. Welcome, Moby.
Thank you very much, Janeko. Now, guys, in advance, everyone tuning in, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will say there are 5 speakers sitting in this this office today. So we're going to do our best not to have like audio issues or whatnot. So guys, thank you in advance and apologies in advance if you do hear anything funny, but I think we've got this sorted for you. I will sort of say one thing, guys, like this is probably one of the last working days of the year. So let it not be said you guys aren't professionals and you guys don't care about lead generation because you're all here. And for that, I thank you, immensely. So let me get straight into it. So 12 months ago, I did a keynote on digital marketing mastery in 2021. So we do one probably every single month. We probably did about 8 or 9 this year. So we've got a little bit lazy a few months, but definitely guys tune in. If you're subscribed to this, you'll get the notifications for the next one. So we're always talking about social or paid or HubSpot or whatever. But anyway, 12 months ago, I spoke about digital marketing mastery in 2021 and what we learned after what was then our first year of COVID. And I spoke about key trends and, digital adoption. But what's interesting now, we've got the benefit of hindsight. We've got now 2 full years of sales and marketing under COVID, under our belt, to see which of those trends actually worked, which were fads, and which have become sustained conditioned behaviors. Now, one thing that hasn't slowed for sure is what they call the diffusion of innovation. So guys, you might have, if you went to uni, you might remember this. The diffusion of innovation is just a model that talks about the adoption of anything. It could be electric cars, could be Facebook, TikTok, Zoom, right? And what we found, you can probably see where I'm going with this, is COVID really accelerated this. It really skewed it towards the left. So things that now, under normal circumstances, only the late majority or laggards, would take time to do, have moved up. So we are, things like telehealth are on the rise. Everyone knows what Zoom is, even things like crypto, like really, and gaming online, it's really kind of accelerated digital adoption. Now, I'm not going to go into all the trends I went last year, because obviously today's about, you can hear from the team, people far smarter than me in the key areas. I can't wait for you to hear from them. But one thing I do sort of want you guys to think about, if there's one principle you take away from today, that is reducing frictions. That's a common thread you'll find in a lot of the tactics the team will share with you today, and that's reducing friction. So the idea here is, like, right now, this kind of sounds like a very generic thing to say. It's like saying, hey, make great content as opposed to crap content. But by the end of this webinar, you're going to know what that means, and it's going to be very apparent what I mean by that in terms of reducing friction in the customer journey. But to that, I'm actually going to now kick it to our head of HubSpot projects internally and head of operations, Tasha. Tasha, kick it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Moby. I'm just going to jump into a screen share so I can show everyone what we're talking about. One sec. Here we go. Suspense. All right, beautiful. So the best traffic to lead conversion strategy is what we're going to share with you now. So just in terms of what I actually want to show you is a recent client of ours website. So as I'm talking, I will do another screen share, but we basically recently did a new site for a client of ours in the men's health space. So they deal with, ED and PE issues. And essentially what we wanted to do to reduce the friction for, men coming to websites and confronting them with these pretty, personal issues is we've created this really beautiful quiz here or questionnaire. So it's 2-3 minutes to complete. Live demos, hey, give me a second. Here we go. I'm going to refresh the page. All right, beautiful. So here we have a quiz we've built for Optimal here, which basically allows a user to go through, answer these questions. We've not only customized the quiz to be based off these men's health issues, but we also have responses to what they answer. So, depending on the age gap, they might get a different response saying, hey, you're not alone. There's actually this many people suffering from these issues. And then as it goes through, I won't do the full quiz, but towards the end, we actually get diagnosed or, online diagnosed with a severity of your ED or PE symptoms. And then that feeds directly into HubSpot CRM. So in terms of, that traffic conversion tactic, that worked really well for our clients. Now, in terms of some of the quiz marketing benchmarks, maybe did you want me to talk through these? Okay, so in terms of why quizzes are so good is 50% of visitors should start the quiz and will start the quiz. And this is what we've noticed with Optimal as well. We've also noticed 95% completion rate for each of those questions. So because of that personalization and contextualization of the quiz, people are going towards the end. It ticks 3 to 5 of those outcomes that we're trying to achieve getting out of these people. Quizzes should be around 8 to 12 questions long. We've kind of found anything longer than that, you get disengagement. Anything shorter than that, it's not valuable enough for the users. And of course, conversions. So working towards those conversions, with a soft call to action being 50% and hard being 10 to 20%. The quiz results that we've found so far, using what we have is obviously people start the benchmark being 50%, but the results through to 66.36. I don't have to talk through all of these, but essentially the takeaway is that the quiz results are yielding better conversions. It's less friction. People are more inclined to want to click through and see your content if you make it personalized and easy for them to kind of self-diagnose, self-treat, and go through that funnel. Speaking of funnels, I'm going to hand over to Linda over here. So I'll just.
All right, thank you, T. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. Bear with me. All right. All right, beautiful. So I guess Tasha just spoke about using quizzes on your website to, number one, generate traffic and help. Number two, I guess, help your customers or prospects on your website be able to filter through products. But another great way to use quizzes is in your paid marketing strategy. And that's what I'd like to share with you guys today. So quizzes are also really effective at generating leads, but also turning those leads into paying customers. Now, we did this for a client of ours called Mornington Green. Mornington Green, just for those of you who don't know, they are a very niche product and service offering. They really challenge the traditional funeral concept and model by providing a green alternative where people can infuse their cremated ashes into a tree, right? So they're a very new company in a new market. And so the challenge that we faced was firstly creating enough brand awareness for them. So creating a campaign that's shareable, but also generating a number of leads for them so that we could develop a local database for them. So what you're looking at here are the creatives on the right-hand side that we use. Now, I'm going to take you through a few tips and tricks. Firstly, use an attractive image to represent your quiz. So what you can see here on the right-hand side, We love to keep our static creatives really simple so that there's a really nice visual hierarchy at play. We also like to incorporate our target personas into the creatives, and you can see here we've used 2 separate creatives so that we could be super targeted. In regards to the copy on the creative, you can see that we really only have a headline and a call to action button, so it's super simple. I guess a good rule of thumb in regards to call to actions I like to use is start the sentence with "I want to," and however you're going to finish that sentence is what you're going to use as your call to action. So I want to take the quiz. Number 2, make sure you have a captivating headline. So I guess headlines might be the only thing that people see. So it's important to make a really good first impression. And 3 common headlines and titles that we often, I'm sure everybody's seen on their news feed, is number 1, the actually title. So how much do you actually know about Harry Potter? No one likes to back down from a challenge. I know anyone in this office doesn't. So I'm sure all of us have clicked on a title like that in our time. Number 2, celebrity personality title, or number 3, the which blank are you title. And in this case, that's what we've opted for. So the which tree are you? Humans are, naturally inquisitive by nature. So sometimes we just have to know the answer to the question. Number 3, send them to a bespoke thank you page upon completion. Now, I'm sure we've all been there where we've filled out details online, spent 2-3 minutes doing something, and then the result that we're looking for, we have a friction point and we can't get to it. So we really didn't want to force people to give us their details in this quiz. So what we did in the thank you page was incorporate a very short form where people could fill their details out and in turn receive a brochure. So there's that transfer of value. The other 2 main components on our thank you page were we had a section about Mornington Green so people could understand the brand that they were interacting with a little further. And we also had social credibility on that thank you page as well. Last but not least, marketing automation. So this is where the job really starts. I think generating leads is one thing, but then nurturing them into until conversion and paying customers is another. So once people filled out their details on that thank you form, we fed them into a marketing automation stream of around 10 emails that were drip fed throughout the following month or so, until finally converting them into customers, right? Which is what we saw with our results. So what we're looking at here are our 2 creatives on our Facebook feed. Our cost per lead was $2.44, which is extremely low in this day and age on Facebook. And our return on ad spend was 600%. Now, just to break that down to you guys, we spent roughly $1,200 on this campaign, and we had a revenue generated of upwards of $60,000, which was incredible. So it's a highly effective strategy that I really encourage you guys to employ in 2022. But of course, this strategy requires you to create a quiz, integrate it on a landing page, and then send traffic to it. But what if you needed something a little more bottom of funnel, a little more direct response? For that, I'll kick it to Tony for our 3rd tactic.
Thanks for that, Linda. I appreciate that. That was great results metrics. So today I'm going to talk about direct response marketing and landing pages. What I focus on most of the times is about funnel optimization and paid ads, and I'm really good at it. We have a case study with a client called UNE Partnerships, and originally we started working with them and we started running ads. As you can see, the ads were very good. They were very engaging. They had a great website. We thought everything was going well. They were going to start converting. But when we ran these ads, and there were, very good ads, the quality score was above average. The click-through rate, if you have a look at it, was an average of 8.72% in education. That is usually above the industry standard of around 2 to 3%. Secondly, we realized that conversions wasn't converting. So we had ads that were doing well, they were above average, they had a high quality score. The click-through rates were good, the ad copies were very good, very engaging. So we had to look at it analytically, and we decided to look at the middle of the funnel, the landing page. And then the team and I decided to incorporate a direct response landing page with a lead magnet. So quizzes work well, as Linda explains, but we wanted to try a different strategy where we could leverage the client's information. And just showing you the website, the landing page, sorry. Sorry for And so with direct response landing pages, right, it's not about being too elaborate. We want to keep it simple. Simplicity is the key here. So what we designed it was a landing page with a lead magnet where they can download the information. We kept it very simple. There was a headline, there was the brochure, on the right is where you download the lead magnet. Also, we added in the benefits, what you would get from the info pack. We decided to add in like the career outcomes, employment, industry growth, all these informations that prospects were looking for. And we did our research in the back end. So we knew what to present as a benefit, also what they would receive. And as we're scrolling down the landing page, what we can see is a few questions. These questions weren't just randomly created. We did our research and we realized these were the 3 common questions that students would ask. So we decided to add it in. Why us at UNE partnership? Why is an entry requirement? And also, the course fees. They were the 3 common questions that a lot of the students would be asking. So we decided to add it in, and these questions would be answered when you download the info pack. And just for credibility on a landing page, that's very important. We added a student testimonial for social proof. And it just gives that extra 5-10% boost on the landing page. So thanks, Moby. Just going back to the slides. Thanks. So what we found out was using the landing page was the conversion rate, page view to submission rate. That's what we consider as the conversion rate. It's just the same thing, just presented differently, was 16.57%. And then, that was doing pretty well, but we did push it and it did become a lot higher. Looking at the direct response lead magnet marketing funnel, this is the whole process. We have the ad, then we have the landing page, then we had a thank you page. So this is a double opt-in where they go from the landing page to a thank you page. And we added an email link at the end. This is so that we're targeting all aspects of the funnel. We got the ads, we got the landing page, we can retarget, and we got the email. So we're trying to recondition prospects from reopening the email. We don't want to be getting sent to the spam box. So just conditioning the email list was very important as well. And this funnel hits all aspects of the funnel, and it's very, very effective. The results were absolutely amazing. We got cost per results for Facebook at $5. So originally, some of the leads were at $25, $30. We managed to drop it to $5 a lead. That is like very good performance. If you look at your own marketing, and you can see results of that, please share it to us. But these are the results that we showed. Also for Google Ads, they weren't getting any conversions. Some of the other courses were getting like 100, 150 cost per conversion, cost per lead. We were managing $52.74 a lead. And they're very good, effective metrics to look at. And they were just working. Also, so that's my slide. So I'll just push it through to Tasha for the best native lead gen integration with HubSpot.
Thank you, Tony. I will also take over the screen now. And while I'm doing that, there's Tony, our head of paid media, with his humble brag at the beginning of his talk about being the best at creating funnels. And look, I'll be honest with you, everyone that I have worked with in my career, he is pretty phenomenal. So I'll give him that one. He can take that brag. Now, without any further ado, I'll keep talking to the best native lead gen integration with HubSpot. So as you guys know, I love HubSpot, everything to do with it. And what I've done this year with a client, which I absolutely love and I'm so keen to share with you all, is using a native lead generation tool called Typeform, integrating with HubSpot. So what makes it native is it's a plug and play. You go to the HubSpot ecosystem marketplace and you grab Typeform and you literally plug it into HubSpot. What it basically allows you to do is create beautiful, seamless, really nice user experience forms. This particular example we're looking at now, this is not a type form that you're looking at on your screen. This is what the form looked like before we turned it into a type form. So what I want to do is do another screen share to take you through really quickly what this form now looks like. So you saw that old kind of like clunky looking HubSpot form, very basic. Now what we've done with the form is we've put it into Typeform. and it allows a user to go through and click interactively the questions, answers, and then obviously we can fill things in. I think what the most amazing thing about this particular tool is the logic that you can do with the form submission. So depending on, you know, what the answer was previously, it'll ask you a different question. Depending on what your answer was even 4 questions ago, it'll show you a different answer or result or question. So it's just super customizable. This is a paid version of Typeform though, keep in mind. And what I wanted to really quickly show you is just the back end. So this is what Typeform looks like on the back end. You can see all my questions are through here. I have different answer pages. I have the logic ability. So without getting too into it, you can kind of see what I love is you can get really complicated with logic. I'm definitely not showing you the depth to that because it's complicated. But yeah, just to kind of sum up, Typeform HubSpot is what I'm voting this year as my favorite native HubSpot integration. Now, if I can jump back into my PowerPoint. That takes me to my next slide, which is the best custom built integration with HubSpot, the CRM. So I mentioned before a native integration, that's plug and play. You go and purchase another tool, you put it in, easy done, no custom coding, very simple. What another client came to us earlier this year was with a real issue. They're in the construction space. I don't know if anyone here has heard of Cordell, but they were using Cordell to filter through and find jobs. So it was essentially a sales rep spending a whole day going through Cordell trying to find jobs or projects which were worth their time in chasing, so qualifying those leads. So what we did was we built a custom integration with HubSpot's sales tools and CRM between Cordell and HubSpot. And the essence of the integration is that we can pull data from Cordell into HubSpot and then use sales and marketing workflows and automations to filter through that information in Cordell and provide smart lists and views for the sales reps to then go forward and qualify and chase. So it literally cut down the time of a full-time job of someone filtering through this Cordell system here. This was, this was like I said, a custom built integration. The document that was just playing on the side there is the takeaway that the client got, which maps out the integration, how we built it, how it syncs, what talks to what, and what happens where. I'll take another 2 seconds of your time to show you some workflows that were built after we created that custom integration. And again, without getting too deep into it, you can see here, if you're familiar with HubSpot workflows, you'll know what you're looking at here. And essentially, when Cordell sent information into HubSpot, we can do anything we want. Obviously, there's a decision matrix here of what needs to happen. You know, if construction is a certain amount, it goes to someone else. So without getting too deep into workflows, what has provided so much value to this client is they no longer need someone going through Cordell, filtering through project amount, location, start dates. We've eliminated all of that issue, error, time, and created workflows for it. With that said, that does take me on to the next section, kicking it over to Modi.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Tash. So yeah, the Cordell one, it's a technical one. It's a tricky one to sort of explain, but if you understand HubSpot, if you understand the idea of like, if I can get data into HubSpot, like Tash says, not only does that save one full-time person, you know, doing admin, but also like you can do almost anything. Like if you can get the data in HubSpot, you can say, okay, if it's the New South Wales territory, then assign this, you know, sales manager, right? But then even, you know, if you've got their email address and whatnot, you can actually email them automatically. So again, I spoke about removing friction. This is one of those ways that you're not only removing friction with the customer, but also internally with your processes as well. So I now want to talk about, we're at the halfway point. This is, depending on who you are tuning into this may be the most powerful section for you. And of course, I'm talking about the best sales optimized customer journey. So I'm going to share my screen, go back into this. Let's go here. All right, awesome. So I've done this via Miraboard. Miraboard, it's a really, really nice tool. It's great for, you know, if you want to draw processes, flow charts. We love it at Red Pandas. But today, what I want to show you is, I guess, my favorite optimized sales journey, right? Now, there's two parts of this. There's one, defining the journey and the strategy, and then there's two, putting it into something. Now, obviously, we're a HubSpot Diamond partner. We would prefer that it's implemented in HubSpot, but it doesn't have to be. This could be an Active Campaign, Salesforce, whatever you sort of want. But just to kind of sort of take you through this, right? And this is what I believe every organization that has a sales team, a customer-facing sales team, should do something like this. Now, across the top row, you can sort of see here the stage. You guys can see, yeah, you guys can see my screen. I better check, right? You guys can see the stage, right? So this stage follows every single stage from new, we don't know them at all the way through to customer, and then, you know, half the job starts afterwards, right? If you're in a recurring revenue stream, you know, what happens after customer. But anyway, the stage is up the top. Now, any good sales manager will tell you that at every stage, there needs to be an objective. It can't just be, hey, I'm just calling to check in. I'm just calling to check in. No, we get paid for yeses and no in sales, right? So following in with this objective, if there's not an answer, then, you know, we should know why. Now, anyway, so for obviously the new lead stage, the objective is book a call. When you contact them, the objective is make contact, so on and so forth. And then I want to draw your eye to these two sections here. I might zoom in a little bit more. Is the manual process and the automations, right? So the manual process is like with data and systems, garbage in, garbage out. So for me to have an autoresponder, or for me to have a, hey, I checked in with you 3 days ago, I need to put something into the system. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, well, this is also a little bit of a governance piece as well. You have to make sure sales reps do this. But that aside, there are things that are manually have to be done for the automations to happen. Now, this is really long. I'm not going to take you through it. I don't have the time. If you guys are interested in this, or if you want to see whether we can help, let us know. We'll tell you whether we can help you or can't help you. We'll be very honest about that. But I just want to kind of take you through the attempted contact stream. So here, you know, the manual process is the salesperson logs the sale activity. And at Redpen, as we talk about, depending on the industry, this is an average of an average. But with a new lead in a month, you should contact people 8 times. I know that sounds like a lot, but bear with me, right? It is 8 times. Now, one touch point could be the autoresponder that you send them. One touch point could be a phone call. A touch point could be a banner on the road, right? Whatever it is, but at least touching them 8 times. And this kind of goes through the process. Day 0, then day 2, we email. Then day 3, there's a task to call an SMS. Some of these automations are actually automated comms, and some of them are tasks internally. So anyway, my piece of advice would be, you know, if you don't have the resources or time to engage someone, is in 2022, go back to your sales process, define those objectives, and don't just say, oh yeah, new lead, we speak to them, send them a quote. No, all the nuances of what happens in between. That's the most important thing, the manual processes and the possible automations that you would like to have. And of course, the job doesn't stop when they're a customer, depending on your industry. You know, often there's follow-ups and, you know, increasing their share of wallet, recurring revenue, that type of thing. But anyway, I think that's it. Let me go back to my slides. And that's it. So for this particular section. So now I'm going to kick it back to Linda for the best SEO tactic in 2022. I think we have Chrissy from SolarAy as well. So Chrissy, your ears can perk up in this particular section. But on that note, Linda, I'll kick it to you. And please take us through our best SEO tactic of 2022.
Thank you, Moby. All right, guys, bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen with you once again. It's very hard to make SEO look sexy, but I'm going to try. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, nearly there.
Just as we wait for Linda, guys, you know, shoot through your comments. We're going to have Q&A sections at the end. As you sort of think of stuff, drop it in the chat pane. And you know, hopefully if we have an answer for you, we can help you with that.
All right. The best SEO tactic in 2022. All right. So guys, what you're looking at here is the HubSpot model of a topic cluster. On that note, actually, I can see John from NEOS, you're on the call. Hey, John, I know this is something that we've been talking about in our whips. So yeah, I guess you'll be able to see it in motion here, which is nice. So our topic cluster, what you're looking at here. So I guess in the center, we've got our pillar content, and then we've got our cluster content around that and the hyperlinks that link it all together. Now the pillar page itself in the center, that essentially covers all aspects of a particular topic on a single page. And then it internally links to separate, more in-depth web pages. So for example, if we think of cars as the topic in the center, and then it branches out to subtopics like, Holden, Tesla, Hyundai, and so on. Now the pillar page itself, just doing a pillar page is a really good place to start. Particularly if you're on time constraints or you don't have the content there on your website. And then from there, as you develop your pillar page, you can bridge off the pillar page and start developing cluster content. Now, why do we do this? So the model itself is really great because it helps you be more deliberate with your site architecture. And in turn, it helps users find information on your site more easily. But most importantly, it helps us rank more pages in Google. And this is why we opted for this strategy for one of our clients, SolarAy Energy. So SolarAy Energy, for those of you who don't know, they sell solar systems, which incorporate solar panels, batteries, and microinverters. And for their solar panels, their main brand that they stock is LG Solar, which is what we're going to be looking at today. Now with SolarAy, just to give you guys some background, the challenge that we had was that they were converting online, but their traffic was really struggling. So our solution was to double down on 2 to 3 content clusters. So what we started with was keyword research. So we commenced our keyword research to see what's popular and what people are searching online, and decided to go after a big topic, which was LG solar panels, which you can see in the center here. It has 2,400 views per month. And currently, previously, I should say, SolarAy were ranked 32 for that keyword. So we can see our big theme in the center, and then our longer tail keywords are around that. So we know that people were also searching for terms like review, price. We found as we went on as well that they were searching for terms like warranty and installation and so on. So from here, we performed an in-depth competitor analysis where we looked at the top 3 companies that were ranking for these terms, and we generated some insights based on what features they had incorporated into their ranked pages. So we looked at things like their keyword density, their content structure, we looked at UX features, schema details, and so on, right? Everything we know and love about SEO. From there, we deployed those strategies onto our new pillar page. And I won't go through the entire page, but I did pop a screenshot in here for you guys, or a screen grab in here. But there are 3 main additions that I want to talk to you guys about with this page. Number 1 is the content banks. So the content looked very different prior. These content banks are strategically filled with keywords that we want to rank for. And in particular, you can see the headings as well. So LG solar panel prices, for example, review. These are all the keywords that we saw in that previous slide. Number 2 is the UX features. So we added features that made it easier for users to navigate through the page, like a table of contents. And then number 3, you'll see this big banner here. We strategically placed some call to actions throughout the page, soft and hard ones, so that we could improve the conversion rate on the page itself as well. Now, in regards to our results, so you can see here, and I've grabbed a screenshot of our results thus far. Now, the pillar page has been live for less than 2 months, I want to say, and we're already seeing some incredible changes in the rankings. So most importantly, LG solar panels, this keyword up the top that had the highest search volume, the 2,400. Like I said, we were ranking 32 beforehand. This keyword we're now ranking 7th for, which is incredible. And as you'll see here, all the other LG specific keywords have also improved at the same time. And what we notice and what we love about SEO is the fact that we can try and rank for one keyword, but they're homogeneous and they work together. So when we see one go up, generally we'll see all of them go up, which is a nice trend that we've seen so far. All right. On that note, that is a high effort tactic, but there are also lower effort tactics that you guys can employ. So I'll kick it over to Moby and he'll take you through that.
Thank you very much for that, Linda. So funnily enough, if you guys do a search yourselves, I just did a search on FYI Linda myself, and I think that's like the 4th site now. I mean, they say this, right? Like great marketers, you know, good marketers copy, great marketers steal. Someone who does this really, really well is Neil Patel. Like if you search for SEO anything, he's got like really, really, really long pages. Now, the point I sort of want to make there is content still really, really works. It's when you sort of mix long form content with shorter form content, or pages, shorter form content that links to the longer form content, with videos as well, that's when it tends to work really, really well. Now, I sort of, when we were kind of designing these slides, I was thinking about the fact that that is a lot of effort. It is a lot of work. Obviously, this is something we do, you know, with Solare, and we work collectively as a team to achieve those results. But I know not everyone has those time and resources. So I wanted to share a tried and tested low effort version that I've been using for years, that I stole from a good friend of mine called Marcus Sheridan in the States. And he talks about the big five, right? If you guys have subscribed to anything that I've done before, I've spoken about this before. But anyway, the big five, it talks about the 5 types of topics that we look for when we're ready to pull out our wallets, when we're in buying zone. And I know this sounds really simple and basic, and I've been doing this for years, and I've noticed over the last few years, our competitors are starting to copy that. Our clients' competitors are starting to copy that, but it still works. It still works really, really well. So you can see on screen here, an example could be, you know, the best solar installer in Australia. Our reviews could be, you know, the best something reviewed, right? Whatever you sort of want. And honestly, it's a little bit easier and simpler to do than the content cluster pillar strategy that Linda mentioned, because with that, you have to define those pillars and create content for all of those pillars. And the next iteration is actually for each of those sections linked to another article somewhere else that talks about that section in depth. So this I really, really like, and it still performs really well. These are some older screenshots from some of our clients: best childcare in Sydney, best urologist in Sydney. Something that you guys could test yourself, because I took this screenshot, I think yesterday. We try to, you know, eat our own medicine, or dog food, as they say. So best HubSpot agency Sydney, I believe we're ranking first in the Google Maps, and also first in the organic searches as well. So it works. Another really sort of quick one, you know, for you guys to sort of, you know, think about if you sort of want to ease into that. Although I will say, use the pillar strategy. It's worth your effort. It's worth the time, particularly for those commercial keywords. But onto that, I'm going to pass on to Tony, who's sitting right next to me. And guys, again, thank you so much. Appreciate your patience. There's 4 or 5 of us, so we're going through this as smooth as possible, and hopefully you guys are feeling that. But let me turn off my camera for a second and kick it over to Tony.
Thanks for that, Moby. Appreciate that. So the best Google ad strategies for 2021. Honestly, I had like 10 or 20, but Moby told me don't share 2. So I'll just keep it short, and I'll give you 2 of the best ones that's consistent. They're not just short tactics that you see on YouTube. They have consistently worked throughout 2021, and they will work for 2022. Sorry, give me a sec. So looking at, first of all, we'll look at search ads. A lot of companies and marketers tend to look at search ads as only keywords and ad copy, but they forget there's so much more money on the table. We've been using dynamic search ads, where it's very simple to set up. All you need is ads and a landing page, and you let Google optimize with their AI machine learning platform. So what we've done is, instead of just using keywords and ad copy, all we did was simply set up ads and a landing page with audiences. Audiences are very, very effective. As you can see, you look at the date from June to October, we can see that there was consistent conversions of like 230 for aged care, for different ad groups. So these were all like dynamic and ad group types, where we let it run automatically, and they work very well. So just a reminder to use your audiences. How do you use your audiences? Another example, before, but how do you use your audiences is look at how effective they were. Business professionals, for an affinity segment, post-secondary educations. With Google, they do fluctuate in audiences. 1 month, one audience might do well. The second month, it might fluctuate. So it's always good to add as many audiences as possible to your ad groups. But the question is, how do you get your audiences, and how do you find the best audiences? Well, it's about Google Analytics, leveraging off your free primary data in Google Analytics. So if your Google Analytics are not connected, make sure it's connected, because what we do is we go into Google Analytics and we look at the best performing categories for each audience, whether it's in affinity category, the in-market, or other categories. And we find out that what's converting well, and then we adopt that into our ad strategy. So a lot of the hard work is taken away from us. A lot of the risk is reduced using Google's data. Just if you're having troubles with trying to connect Google Analytics, or you want to know more about the dynamic search ads and how to simply set it up, just contact us and we're happy just to help you and go through it. Also, that was just dynamic search ads. What about display ads? And we hear it from a lot of potential clients and other marketers that display ads do not work. But how to make display ads not suck is the question today. With display ads, it's very important that we use high converting audiences. So what that means is you have a whole list of audiences, instead of using keywords, instead of using topics and other irrelevant audiences, if you use like Google Analytics and stuff like that, you can really leverage your data for display ads. As you can see throughout the whole year, we've been using display ads for remarketing, using affinity audiences, using in-market audiences, also using custom intent audiences. So there's a variety of audiences, but it's about knowing which audience to use for display ads. And you can see from the cost per results, cost per conversion, we're getting $28 a cost per conversion, $34, $28, as opposed to, sometimes they've gone up to 50 to 100. So display ads do work. And as you can tell throughout the whole year, we've been getting consistent conversions. Another audience that's great to use on your CRM or on your database is similar audiences. So if you can obtain all your data from your CRM, upload it onto Google, it's similar to like lookalike audiences on Facebook. You can really leverage your data and let Google optimize and find like reliable audiences. And you can tell they're very consistent, 85 conversions for 120 days. And it just works. So 2 things that we have found out in 2022 was display ads do not suck, they do work. And also dynamic search ads are very effective and very simple to use. And what else? Okay, that's it for me for today.
All right, guys, thank you so much. The last one. So, we've kind of tried to do this in a systematic way. We've spoken about, I talk about like, ads bring the horses to the water, and conversion rate optimization. So some of the tactics like the quizzes and the integrations, that makes them drink, right? But then also the job doesn't stop there. And I briefly touched on, I guess, the post journey before, after a customer earlier. But really, this is one we've been using for a couple of years and it works so well. And I honestly think no matter what optimization, what automation or CRM system you have, you could leverage this, and you could leverage this, with, not a lot of effort if you have those systems in place. So essentially what I'm talking about is the best review strategy. How do you garner and generate reviews? So now, guys, if you're here on one of the last working days of the year, you know this already. I'm kind of preaching to the converted, but reviews are really powerful. 97% of us trust them as much as we would trust our friends, and they influence our buying decisions. One other thing too, and I can share a reference, or to be honest, guys, you can Google it, but there is also data that suggests that Google reviews are a 17% influence in terms of local search rankings. So not rankings in general, like LG solar panels, for example, but maybe LG solar panels, Blacktown or Sydney. The more reviews you have or more positive reviews you have, it does actually impact your local search results as well. So that's obvious, right? Let's kind of move on to what we actually did. Now, this is for a client of ours in the education space, Karana, who may be listening. If you guys are listening, hello, thanks for tuning in. And it really revolves around the moment of truth / plus a well-timed email. So the moment of truth in a conversion path is what's that point when they're the most happiest, right? I'm just thinking about solar because top of my head, possibly for them, the most happiest they will be when they've got their solar panels on their roof and you walk away. Or probably even better is when their first bill comes, right? And that might be 3 months away. So that's probably an ideal time for me to reach out to them and get a review. But I've got other things to do as well. Your salespeople have other things to do as well. So we crafted this workflow, this automation that we've done probably for a lot of our clients, and it works as sort of follows. So if you guys can't see my screen, don't worry, I'll read it out. But essentially understanding when that moment of truth is, post-purchase by X days or whatever that average is, it would send a very simple email. The email might say something like, you know, we've excited, you've started your journey with us. How, you know, were you happy with the process? And it will have, could have 3 icons, right? So again, low friction. I'm not asking for 20 questions. I'm not asking for a survey. People don't have time for that unless it's a very, very, very considered purchase and you have an incentive. All I'm saying, how happy were you? Sad face, okay face, smiley face. Another thing we've done in the past that's worked really well is put stars. So click on 1 star all the way through to 5 stars. Now, with the star thing, or let's just stick with the smiles, if it's anything but the smile, so straight face / I'm not happy, it will actually, they'll click on that and it'll open up a page and it will take them to a form. And it'll say, look, we're really sorry to hear about that, you know, like your experience. Please fill this out and, you know, we'll get back to you. Now, obviously, this is common sense. The key thing is actually get back to them. Don't just send them to a bucket where you don't do anything with them. Get back to them. That's what good marketers do. That's how they improve their flywheel, reduce friction. But if they give you a positive, so if they give you a 5 star or a 4 star and a smiley face, then send them to a different page. And then that page would be, you know, you could have an incentive. We did do this for this client as a kickstart, but we noticed we didn't need to do it after a while, where it's like, hey, this is how you can write a review. Thank you so much. We love hearing that. This is how you can write a review. And chances are, if they like you, they're going to leave a review. And I've heard from clients like, oh, we don't want to spruik our services. We don't want to like ask for that type of stuff. Firstly, get over yourself. Stop being so shy. Just freaking ask. But secondly, this way it's using the system. Right? It's using the system. It's making it a little bit easier and it's a little bit more professional. Now, in terms of results, and you guys can look this up yourself, this is a version of the Crowner's email. They had 2.8 stars before the strategy. To be honest, it was so bad that we had to try to think of what are we going to do? Like, what are actually we going to do? So this strategy that we've adopted for this client, we started rolling it out with other clients, but problems, breed innovation, right? Now, currently, there, as of yesterday, I searched this. It was 4.6, but my text says 4.3. I think it depends on which location you kind of go to. One interesting comment I will make is that they say that you don't necessarily need 5 stars. You need, I think it's between 4.1 and 4.6 or 4.5 is optimal. So I needed to keep this short, so I took this graph out, but they say anywhere from between 4.1 and 4.6 is really, really optimal. And it's as good as sometimes better than a 5 star because it's a little bit more authentic. So real easy one. I'd love to hear, why this couldn't be done with a lot of clients. But of course, now I'm going to kick it to Q&A. But the final sort of point I'll sort of make is I think reducing friction in your internal processes, bringing the horses to the water, making them drink really is key. And of course, we have the benefit of hindsight of 2 years now. So there's a lot more we could have shared with you. If you have any other questions, let us know in this section now, or of course, reach out to us and we'd be happy to help. But I'm going to now kick it to Tash, and Tash, let me know if we have any questions that we can get our team to answer.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Moby. I think that our review strategy, I know I've definitely used it for a lot of my clients, and it's just yielded amazing results for everyone. And it's always a pain point. Every client that comes through is like, we need reviews, but then no one has the time for it. So finding that moment of truth, setting up that automation when you have a great tool like HubSpot or something else, maybe you can execute that. And it is a bit of a set and forget. And then when you have those negatives or positives, you go through, answer them, works so well. Okay, so with Q&A, we've had a few come through. First one, look, this one's probably for Moby or Tony, either. And it is, how do you know these Google Ads strategies will work for 2022? Over to you guys.
So thank you, Tash. Let me just go back to my slide there. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, really, the short answer is you don't really know. Like, you don't know if next week the website's going to go down, right? But I guess, based on what we do know, what has actually worked over the last couple of years, we would run it until it stops working, right? That's why it's so important to actually monitor your results, have someone in that role that does it internally or monitors it externally, and watch those metrics. If that CPL continues to slide, then we know it's no longer working. And really, one thing I'll say, and this is common sense, but I really can't say it any simpler, paid media in general is about trial and error. So with Google Ads, Facebook ads, it's about trial and error. It's about winning as fast as possible or learning as fast as possible. And, some things won't work. Like, I know for everyone listening, not all 10 of these are going to work for you. Like one of the things that Tony spoke about is, with those affinity audiences, because the question is about paid media, with affinity audiences and those insights, you get them from Google Analytics. Like, you go to Google Analytics and you can Google this if you don't know how to do this, and it will show you what affinity or interests that your audience already has, that's already visiting your website. But if you only have 500 visitors, you're not going to get that. Google's not going to give that to you. If you have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, then yes, they're going to give that to you. So I guess, some things are trial and error. And one thing I will say though, before I kick it to Tony, because I'm sure he might have a question around how do we know? So Tony, if you missed the question was how do we know that these things are going to work? These paid media tactics are going to work into 2022 is Google does have, Tony spoke also about dynamic testing and dynamic ads, right? There's another one called, I think, Performance Max.
Yes.
And why they really like Performance Max is not because it does anything new. It's actually nothing new. All it is like you create a bunch of campaigns that will send your ads to YouTube, Gmail, search, or whatever. Obviously, you need that media, but it will use AI, it will use machine learning to sort of push and sift your ad to audiences that are going to work. So really, that takes a little bit of guesswork away. But so I know you probably answered your question, but I don't know if you want to add to that at all, Tony.
Just basically with paid ads, it does take a lot.
Sorry, I muted you. Go ahead.
With paid ads, it does take a lot of testing and split testing, but like with our experience, we understand what is going to work and what isn't going to work. And we're consistently and constantly split testing and testing. So, you can go on the website, you can go on YouTube or anywhere, and there's thousands of strategies and this and do that, tactics. But honestly, like we got the experience to understand what will work and what doesn't. So, and it just comes down to experience.
The other thing too, I'll say is like not to diss Facebook, because Facebook, honestly, and I'm sure everyone listening, you guys have seen this. You do get a higher quality, right? Sorry, higher quantity. You get a lot higher quantity than you do in terms of quality. The Google ads tend to have a lower CPA. They tend to close faster, although some of Tony's results, showed otherwise. Sometimes, Facebook does that. But Google hasn't been as affected by iOS and attribution, right? So obviously, Apple hates Facebook for whatever reason, and it's harder and harder and harder to build funnels and attribute your leads to Facebook. That's not to say they don't work. They still will work. And if you use HubSpot, you can have forms that are just for Facebook. You can still get around some of those. But Google is not as affected. They're a lot smarter. They're even changing their pixels in the new year. If you guys haven't moved to GA4 from Google Universal to GA4, it's a new version of Google Analytics. They're constantly developing proxies and tools to get around this stuff. So, use their tools, check them, and yeah. Tash, anything else?
Awesome. Yeah, guys, we had one more question, and this is probably to anyone that presented. It's on one of the topics that Linda had, and it's on the content pillar approach. So a client's asked, or contactors asked, how do I know what theme to go after? Do you want Linda to answer that? I'll pop Linda on. So the question was, Linda, how do we know? Do you want to jump on here, actually? How do we know what theme to go after when we're creating a pillar page, really?
Yeah, good question. So I guess it's honestly, guys, it's quite simple, right? It depends on your product offering and your service. That's really where you start, right? Your objective in SEO and content pillars really is to rank for what you're selling or offering people. Sometimes SEO can get quite forgotten about because it's a slow burn and you don't see results straight away, right? Google is an exact science, but the idea is to make sure that you are ranking for what you're offering your consumers, so that when they are searching for your product, you appear on the Google search engine results page. So it's about making sure that for whatever product or service offering that you guys are providing people, that when they're deep into their customer journey, later on in the journey, that they can find you when they're typing in that information to Google's page. So making sure that really that you appear for what you're offering your consumers.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Linda. Awesome. We actually did have one more question, which I think you'd be awesome to answer, and it's around the review process. So Chrissy's asked, actually, who's your client, what happens, if anything, with people when they click on that neutral face icon on the review emails?
Yeah, so we've done it in a way, Chrissy, where anything that is unfavorable is taken offline, and that anything that is favorable is completed publicly. So in that review email, you saw that there was a sad face, a neutral face, and a happy face. If someone was to click on the happy face, they would be redirected to your business listing, where they could start filling in their review, because we know that they're happy with their experience. But with anything neutral or a sad face, what we actually do is take them offline to an offline landing page that has a form. And the form essentially allows them to give us their feedback in an offline setting. So that way, it triggers a contact owner and someone internally can get back to that person, but in a private setting. So yeah, I guess quite strategic in that fashion, but you know, the goal here is really to improve our rankings. So, our reviews. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, I might just jump into that one really quickly. So, Chrissy, with yours, I really like how with your team, they actually chase them up, they follow them, they actually value them. You know, and not all teams sort of do that. And I guess it's one of those things, right? Like if you rely on a workflow that is relying on a human to trigger a manual action, then it depends on the rep, it depends on how busy they are. It just depends, right? Although with you guys, it's a little bit different. Your sales reps are really, really great at that. But one thing I would definitely say is I test it for a month. So test it for a month. So like maybe either or different territory or something. So maybe for the month of Jan, you let it run, or actually you already have the data, the old data. So month of Jan or Feb, you actually turn those workflows off and you assign it for that moment of truth. It might be 1 month after installation, or it might be 3 months after installation. You know, maybe, you know, as you would know better, when they get their actual bill. And then when a bulk of those trigger, have a look. It's one of those things, it's okay to be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong about that one, but I think you might also get a lot more submissions. You might, and the other thing too, I wouldn't tell the sales reps necessarily you're going to test the new thing before you do, because then they might ramp up, you know, their kind of, you know, push. But I guess it's a little bit of trial and error. But yeah, I think that's all for me. Tash, anything else?
That's it from my end. Maybe just a reminder to everyone that this session's obviously been recorded and can be shared, and most of you have all of our details, so definitely reach out. But I'll hand it over to Janeko to close off.
Easy. All right. Thanks, Tash. First of all, thanks, Tash, for handling our Q&A section. A special thank you to Tony, Moby, and Linda as well for all your presentations. So phenomenal content as always. I'd like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in this morning. Hope you all enjoyed our webinar. Now, I feel this is a great insight to how you can leverage off some of these strategies and tactics for lead gen within your organizations, especially leading into 2022. Now, I guess before we wrap up, in case we don't catch some of you before the break, on behalf of all of our team here at Red Pandas, I'd like to wish you all and your families all a happy and safe Christmas and a new year ahead. I'd like to wish you guys all your best in your endeavors, and it's exciting times ahead for all of you. I guess we'll all catch you guys in 2022. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. Bye for now.